Welcome to our Vibrant Voices webinar, Saving the Forest, Saving Us. My name is Muriel Howden. I am the Executive Assistant and Senior Outreach Advisor for RTO Yarrow. I will be moderating today's session and providing active offer for any participants who wish to ask questions or have information relayed in French. Throughout the webinar, feel free to use the Q&A chat box to submit your questions for our guest speaker. Bonjour à toutes et à tous et bienvenue à notre webinaire dont le sujet aujourd'hui est « Sauver la forêt, nous sauver ». Je suis Muriel Howden, adjointe de direction et conseillère en liaison à RTO ERO. Je serai la modératrice de notre session d'aujourd'hui et je vous invite à poser vos questions ou à partager vos commentaires en français dans la boîte à questions et réponses afin de les soumettre à notre invité. As we begin the day today, we would like to pay our respect to the Indigenous lands that connect us across Canada. And then our board chair, Rich Prophet, will introduce today's guest speaker. I am speaking to you today from the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, which is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We acknowledge, recognize, and honor the ancestral traditional territories on which we live and work, and the contributions of all Indigenous peoples to our communities and our nation. Je m'adresse à vous aujourd'hui du territoire traditionnel de nombreuses nations, incluant les peuples Mississauga de Crédit, Anishinaabe, Chippewa, Haudenosaunee et Wendat, qui abritent aujourd'hui de nombreux membres des peuples des Premières Nations, Inuit et Métis. Nous reconnaissons et honorons les territoires traditionnels ancestraux sur lesquels nous vivons et travaillons, ainsi que la contribution de tous les peuples autochtones à nos communautés et à notre nation. Merci, thank you, miigwech. And Rich?
Hello, thank you, Muriel. Hello, my name is Rich Prophet. I am the chair of the board at RTO Yarrow. Thank you for joining us today. RTO ERO is a bilingual, trusted voice on healthy, active living in the retirement journey. We work with our members and partners to advocate for critical policy improvements to address urgent needs now and create a more secure and compassionate future for everyone. Our three key advocacy issues are senior strategy, geriatric healthcare, and environmental stewardship. The focus for today's session, Saving the Forest, Saving Us, is on environmental stewardship. I am pleased to introduce our special guest speaker, Dr. Diana Beresford-Kroeger. She is a botanist, medical biochemist, and author. Her Global Bioplan challenges us to develop a new relationship with nature, view the environment as a biological system, and restore the global forest. Dr. Beresford-Kroeger was inducted as a Wings World Quest Fellow in 2010 and elected as a Fellow of the Royal Geographical Society in 2011, and in 2016, the Society named her one of 25 women explorers of Canada. I will now turn it over to our moderator, Muriel Howden, to get the webinar started. Muriel?
Thank you very much, Rich. It's just we would like to remind you to submit your questions in English or French to Dr. Beresford-Kroeger using the Q&A box. Je vous rappelle que vous pouvez poser vos questions ou partager vos commentaires en français pour Dr. Beresford-Kroeger dans la boîte de questions et réponses afin de les soumettre à notre invité. And now let's begin. Dr. Beresford-Kroeger, the floor is yours.
I want to add the wishes from ancient Ireland, from old Ireland, from the Castle of Ross, the area of Gleneagles, from the ancient kings of Munster. And my wishes, Beg Dialat, agus Gamektum Yo, agus Ganairi Tu. And this is an ancient environmental blessing on people. Beg Dialat, may you walk with God. Agus Ganairi Tu, may you rise within yourself. May your spirit, the spirit of who you are, rise within you and make you powerful. Now I want to address the First Nations because I'm known by them. I am the woman that the golden eagle flies over, and the whippoorwill keeps me protected at night. So I would like to ask all of you who listen to this, all of you who've listened to this hard work that's gone into this, to be my ambassadors. I'm not playing games. Climate change is upon us. It is here, it is there, and it is right upon us in the form of COVID right now. And I want you to be my ambassadors because we need to have a powerful movement of the public to go into the political world and to say money is not important, but life is. The life of our children and the future for our grandchildren and the children before that. It is very important that the educators, the people who have been teachers in North America, that we pay attention to this and not let it go. Because if we do let it go, then we too will go with it. Now, first of all, I would like to say to you, give you a little bit of, put on a hat, a biochemical hat, my medical biochemical hat, and give you some little tips that you can use for your booster injections. The day before you take your boosters, all of you gentlemen and all of you ladies who are parents and have children, will you please eat some salmon? Because the salmon 24 hours ahead of having the booster will give you phosphoproteins running in your blood so that the injection becomes more efficacious within your system. And for those of you who'd like to have salads, I would very much ask you to eat organic garlic within your salad 24 hours ahead of this because it stops clotting. You have a heparin type compound running through your blood. You will not have body clots, you will not have brain clots. So you can go in and have these boosters with total confidence that they will work. Those of you who live in the city of Toronto, I'm asking you to go down into Hyde Park. If you don't like garlic, go down and find the trees that are called Sassafras albidum, and you will know them because they have leaves that are like children's mitts, a right hand mitt and a left hand mitt. It's very easy to find these trees. They're very tall trees. They're the last of the ancient forests of the Aboriginal world, the savanna forests that have been left behind. Go and find those trees. Take some of the leaves, crush the leaves and smell the leaves. It gives you a heparin compound into your body, aerosols into your body, and you'll be okay. So you're all perfect now. You will be perfect once you've had that booster, and we need that. And why we need that is there increased carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. The carbon is going into the exoskeletons of viruses, bacteria, and pathogenic infections, essentially across the globe. And this is one byproduct of climate change, is what we're feeling right now globally. There will be more, but let's handle them as they come along. I want to start talking about the forest with a little story. The great man called Albert Einstein was very interested in light, and he spent the rest of his days in Princeton University, and that gentleman liked to smoke a pipe. So he'd go out into the forest, well, there are lots and lots of trees around Princeton, smoke his pipe and look up into the forest. He didn't know at the time, he, the great man, the answers were staring at him in the face. He was interested in the light is described in physics as vector. The traveling of light from the sun to the earth is a straight line vector. But he discovered the fact that it also travels in a sine wave. That's the same kind of wave that you find in the ocean. That's technically called a sine wave. So light comes in a straight line, it comes in a sine wave. And he'd smoke his pipe, puff around the trees and say, well, you know, I can't figure out why there is sine wave in light. Well, we know now. We know that the great forests of the planet have leaves. The great forests of the planet are solar receptors. We know that now. And that sine wave lands on the leaf and does a number of bounces on the leaf, on the cuticular layer of the leaf. And that bouncing of shortwave energy provides the food that you eat today, the wood that goes into the trees, the very life substance of the planet. He didn't know that, but we know it now. And to our great ignorance, what we're doing is we're going out there with our saws and our chainsaws and all the vast machinery we have, and the forests are coming down. Track the money and you track the forests coming down. Today, you're listening to me. I am telling you, you will not be able to survive on this planet without the forests. And why you won't? Let's do an experiment. I'm asking you to hold your breath for about a half an hour. And even if you want to go even further than that, hold your breath for an hour, maybe 2 hours, maybe a day. You won't last because your lungs need oxygen. So sit down, you educators, and think about it. Where is the oxygen coming from in the atmosphere? We know where the carbon is coming from in the atmosphere. And in fact, there is a multiplication of carbon in the atmosphere from day to day from the neutrinos of the sun. That's something we do know. But where's the oxygen coming from? It is coming from the most important reaction on the planet. Very few people know about it. Very few people talk about it. It's called the photosynthetic reaction. And Einstein, as he was looking up, did not realize that quantum mechanics was working in the tree. That light was landing on the leaves. That light, the energy of the light was splitting carbon dioxide into carbon and oxygen. The oxygen goes out into the atmosphere. The carbon comes into us, goes into the tree, into the great carbon cycle of the planet. The trees are molecular machines. The trees, I'll repeat, are molecular green machines. They farm the sun. They use the energy of the sun, calling it down into their leaves so they can live and we can live. The trees learned that trick. It took them over 400 million years to learn that trick of trapping photosynthesis. It's really a neat thing. It's absolutely an extraordinary thing. Metal is on the mattress of the leaf and the bounce happens and there's a valency cascade and everything works in a perfect way. But we have been greedy. 2,000 years ago, the Celtic world, the Celtic civilization had a greater respect for trees and a greater protection for trees. They were sacred trees of the Celtic world. They were sacred then and they were protected. And for 200 years, we've taken them down. And the end product of that is climate change. You use the gasoline, which is the carbon storage of the trees. You use all kinds of diesel products, the carbon storage of the trees, and now we're running out of everything. We're also running out of common sense and intelligence. Look up, see the forest, they're there. Now, I'll tell you something very extraordinary because you're going to have to believe this. Trees work on DNA. They have the same DNA that we have. The only difference between a tree and you, believe it or not, are two bases. Two bases. You have 4 bases per stepping stone on the DNA all the way up to the spiral molecule. We are all very commonly have common knowledge of. Just 2 changes. That's it. That's it. So you look at a tree and it's silent. And you think, what is this doing for us? Well, the winter is coming here. Well, it's going to be coming around Merrickville anyway, and it's going to be coming around this part of Canada. And it's going to be coming, probably worse up in the North Pole, all the way down the continent. So what are you going to do for Christmas? What are you going to do for the cold weather? Are you going to put on extra clothing? Yeah, you are. You're going to put on a winter coat and winter boots and winter gloves and la, 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 la. You're going to do that. The planet is a unity of itself, has a knowledge of its own unity. Life on this planet is quite an extraordinary thing. We do not have really pinned the tail on the donkey where life is concerned. This is a green planet. This is a living planet. And for all of the space exploration that my father-in-law did and that NASA did, and that I'm tied into all of that, Elon Musk, yeah, that boy is going off, going into space. At least he thinks he's going to go into Mars and so on and so forth. There is a fundamental question that we have not pinned the tail on the donkey of life. So we have to spin back into the forests and ask ourselves, what have we done to the planet? The planet, a living, functioning planet with a carbon dioxide ratio in the atmosphere of something in the 300, 310, 320, 325 parts per million gives us a stable atmosphere. It is stabilized only because of the forest. The forest has come down. We are cutting them, as I'm speaking, we're cutting them today. Look out at Fairy Creek on Vancouver Island. I've managed to stop that, funding that one. There is one of 500,000 acres outside of Halifax. 500,000 acres owned by a lot of politicians. We've stopped that. They were pelletizing those forests, and those forests were going down to feed Boston. We have Pimachuanaki, as large as Denmark. I've stopped, helped the Aboriginal people there to stop that, stabilize it. It is now a national park. It is a phenomenal place. And I keep working, knitting away at the continent. We have to protect our forests now because too much forest has come down. Too much forest has come down. So the reaction of photosynthesis, carbon dioxide is now not being absorbed by the trees. The molecular machine is not working because it's not there. We've cut it down. And so that carbon dioxide has gone into the atmosphere. And what that does is something phenomenal. It causes a dark shield around the world. It stops the Albion effect. And what it does a greenhouse effect, a bounce of the energy from the sun against the earth, back up into this dark cloud, back down again, back, it heats the earth. We cannot have life with temperatures in the 45, 50, 60, 65, 70 degrees. It's very simple. Our children and our grandchildren will not live because there will be no oxygen and the temperature is too high. And for your information, if you expect to have grandchildren, think again. Because with the oxygen levels going down so low, there is no woman like me, no woman across the world will be able to carry a child in utero with such low oxygen levels. We are not built, we women are not built, our circulation is not built strongly enough to carry a baby for 40 weeks, 45 weeks. We cannot do it. So we're putting an end to our own lives as well. This is serious for you. This is serious stuff for you. So let us look again at what we can do. You go into simplicity. The Dalai Lama is right. I wrote the book after an interview with the Dalai Lama, The Sweetness of a Simple Life. Simplify your life down. You don't need 10 boats. You don't need 10 cars. You're not impressing anybody. Just go simple and go into your imagination. Let us have a better time. Now, I would like to look at the wider picture of the forests. Canada has been blessed by the Aboriginal people because they too looked after the forest. They had the great savanna. They understood the trees. They took their medicines from the trees. They lived with their trees and the forest, and they lived very well. And they had great knowledge of the forests. And I talked to the medicine men across the country, and some of them told me that there were legends of the Irish, the Celtic world coming across to this North American continent. And I know that for a fact because the Mi'kmaq people and the people up on the northern area of the continent, their name is in ancient Gaelic. And on Tír na nÓg, the land of the youth, the land of opportunity was Canada. So there are legends in Ireland and there are legends here. In Old Gaelic, the Beothach, they're the people who were hunted out of North America. In Old Gaelic, Beo is life and Tach is Tua. Tua means the people of life. And you mean to tell me that was a coincidence? I don't think so. They called their dancing Rinka. These people had their own language, Rinka. In Old Gaelic, dancing is Rinka. Far is man for Gaelic. They had word far. Ban is the word for a woman. They had ban. All the way down. So they were there. They were there. We know they were there. So we are very grateful to the Aboriginal people that they were kind and good to all of the landscape here. Now, let me tell you, point, what do the trees do? Do you like to drink water? The trees provide potable water. They're great condensing agents. We have 5 major global aquifers across the world. Those aquifers are going down at a very rapid rate in many places. In California, they can't really get a lot of fresh water. I tried to dig a tree in California because I was being honored there. There's a big garden given to me in California and I was planting a tree. I couldn't dig. I couldn't put a shovel in the soil. Hey, and I'm used to putting a shovel into the soil. I couldn't do it. So do you want fresh water? The next wars will be fought over water, and I don't want that to happen either. So plant the trees back, right? Now, let's talk about medicine. Let's talk about cancers. Cancer is a virus. All the cancers are viral origin. Guess what now? The trees have been living for 400 million years. Do you think they've come across a virus before? Yes, they have. Many of our trees are antiviral. Now, let me point a finger at a number of them. Out on the west coast, the madrone trees, and the madrones are actually all across the planet. They're antiviral. They produce antiviral flowers. So when you are going out to the west coast, go for a walk under those trees. Then here in where I am right now, the top of the heap is the pine, the white pine. Now, if you say, oh, I don't know what a white pine is. Look, will you go up to the pine and will you take a bunch of needles and will you count to 5? So 5 needles per bundle is white pine. So walk around the white pine once a month for the next time until Christmas and then start it again once the weather starts to get better. You, man, woman, child, will protect your body from cancers for the next month. These trees produce alpha and beta pinene. And while you're about it, don't put a hat on your head, don't put a scarf on, don't put gloves on. Now, I'm not telling you gentlemen to be walking around them naked, but as nude as you possibly can. And the ladies as nude as you possibly can. So don't cover up all your skin because on your skin you have sebaceous glands, and alpha and beta pinene use the sebaceous glands for entry into the body. And what it does is it affects the myelin sheath. It is a myelin builder. And it also builds the brain. It's functioning in the brain, transportation in the brain, transportation throughout the whole body, and maintenance of the major organs. It is an antiviral compound. The alpha and beta pinene do a right-handed swirl on one continent and a left-handed swirl on the other continent, a lava rotation on the other continent for those of you who are chemists. This is really, really interesting. Now, let me talk about the gentlemen. 9 out of every 10 men will have prostate cancer. Now, listen up to me, okay? Listen up to me. What you do is if you go into California, the Californian, the redwoods in California are strongly anti-cancer prostate cancer, and do your bathing in the morning. And those trees have a compound in them that is really super complex. They've never been able to manufacture this in in a lab, and it's a compound that goes right into the fat system and stops. It actually kills the cancer tissue within the prostate. So you don't have to go wandering around too much, totally naked, but get as much skin, open skin as you can to this situation. Down in Florida, due to the Taxodium distichum, remember that name. These are the trees down in Florida. Find them, Taxodium distichum, find them and water bathe around them. So then there's the other thing for COVID right now. People who are suffering from mental problems. This is an Aboriginal world, old Aboriginal world, and actually an old Irish Celtic remedy too. Get yourself by a weeping willow. Get yourself by any form of willow and spend 15 minutes, especially if the willow happens to be by water. Sit there and breathe what the willow is producing, 22 compounds. It stops the feeling of melancholy and sadness in your body, and it pulls you together. It's very, very good for our children right now. That is really important. So let's go to a couple of the other points. The trees conduct the water of the weather patterns. All the weather patterns are changing. It is because the angstrom material produced from the trees, like pollen, which would be about 30 angstroms or so on and so forth, 10, 15, 20, 30, and they are elevated into the atmosphere. And these compounds, these aerosols, I have to have my whiskey right now here. These aerosols look for hydration. That's your weather pattern. So the weather patterns have changed because the trees have changed. All of the ancient cultures have died out because of lack of water. Oh, for heaven's sake, listen up and plant the forests and protect them again. Then let me talk about your medicine. Most of your medicine, that 64% of your medicine, comes from trees. The first big breakthrough in cancer was taxane compounds. That came from the yew. The yew was considered to be an ancient sacred tree in ancient Ireland. This is nothing new, but they're all coming down. What are you thinking about? I mean, you've got to repair this knowledge. And now today, as we're in this beautiful place here in North America, the leaves are falling down. The leaves fall down and they hold humic acid. They hold fulvic acid. The fulvic acid in them goes into the ground. That's what all of us farmers and gardeners need to have in the soil. The soil is a living thing with fulvic acid and humic acid. That humic acid is water soluble. It goes into the water, it goes into the rivers, it goes into the streams and goes out into the ocean. Humic acid, fulvic acid is a chelator, an iron chelator. On the land where I'm living, sitting right now, this is full of iron. The land is full of iron. The sea is impoverished by iron. There's always a famine of iron out in the great oceans. The fulvic acid and the humic acid carry iron out into the oceans. And when the sun goes down, it is just like a light spot on all of the great columns, feeding columns in the oceans. They're Crococalis, Camasiphonales, Nosticales, all of these great groups of feeding foundation in the ocean. Iron goes in and they double in bulk. That's the feeding of the oceans, is related to the great forests. The Japanese have a saying, if you want to catch a fish, you plant a tree. You go out onto the west coast of Canada now, and all of the mammals and the species are going down and down and down. It's not just because they're they are, too many are being taken out of the ocean, but the food isn't there for them. So it's all connected. When the Aboriginal people and the ancient people say, we are connected, I am your sister. It doesn't matter whether you're spotted or striped or who you are, what you are, where you've come from. We are all related. But more than that, we are related to the forests. We cannot exist without them. So you tell me you tell me now, you and I are considered to be the top of our class, the top of our predatory class, if you want to look at us properly. We are at the height of our evolution. On a par with that, the forests are on the height of their evolution on land, but photosynthesis also takes part in the sea. And all of these great creatures of seaweeds and nosticales and all of the columns, they all photosynthesize. And what we are doing now is we're spreading great fields across this country, and we're pumping that water with pesticides, fungicides, and artificial fertilizers out into the ocean, and we are creating graveyards in the ocean. So last year, there were fish kills. All of the otters were killed. All of the mammals were killed, and they came up to the south shore of England. They've come up into the Bay of Fundy. Do you ever think what we're doing? So now I've written the books. David Suzuki and I have been friends for a long, long time. David, my darling, I call him David, my darling Suzuki, said he'd go into the television world. And I said to David, I'd go the long way like the tortoise. I would write the books, boing, 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 boing. I am writing the books. I have written the books, and I've had to bash my brains to write those books. But you now can go into a library. Read my books, please. And if you don't like them, just hold your nose and read them. And please take my books, take my new one, and please read that. See how difficult it has been for me to do that. I have refused a professorship in medicine to do what I'm doing right now. And I don't have any extra money coming in, because I think this is more important than my life. I think this is important for you to know now. I was told as a child that I was to carry the message of the ancient world of Ireland into the time of now, into the time of when this trouble starts. And I have been faithful to that sacred trust with my books and what I have done, and with my film Call of the Forest, which you can get on DVD. Look up Call of the Forest, you can get that. It is now going viral in all kinds of places around the world. So gather together. The Arabs called a sabiya. Let us gather together with our love for one another and our connections for one another, and forget hatreds and forget dislikes and forget all of those things, but shoulder to shoulder. I will hold your hand across the world, and we will do this. And I love the idea that we'll surprise the politicians. So be my ambassador. And thank you so much for listening to me today. I will be honored to answer your questions if I can at all. And I suppose you don't want the answers in Gaelic. That would be a bit too much, wouldn't it? So thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Dr. Diana Beresford Kruger, thank you for talking to us on those very, very important topics and so relevant today. Thank you for sharing all this information. So maybe we will pass on the Gaelic for today, and we'll keep it in English, and in French.
Yes.
But thank you for the offer. Thank you for this wonderful talk. So I see that we've already received questions, and I can tell you also that there were comments on people being just delighted of being able to hear you today. I just want to confirm with you, Dr. Diana Beresford Kruger, your last book was called Call of the Forest. Is it correct?
Call of the Forest. Oh, it's upside down. The Forgotten Wisdom of Trees. To speak for the trees, my life's journey from ancient Celtic wisdom to a healing vision of the forest.
Thank you. Thank you for confirming that with us. That's wonderful. So we're going to start with the Q&A for sure, because we have many questions for you. Juste un petit rappel en français que vous pouvez poser vos questions en français dans la boîte à questions et réponses. Alors n'hésitez pas, on sera content de les lire en français également. So let's start. And actually, Diana, the first question for you is from Laetitia, and it's a good question about the trees. So how can we help spread your message about the crucial importance of trees to our municipal governments who are allowing developers to remove trees by the hundreds? Replacing mature trees with saplings is not the answer, I would think. Yeah. So thank you so much for speaking with us today. So what do you think?
Well, what I think is if you can afford it, please send them a copy of the book and ask them to read it. What you do when you're dealing with politicians, you have to ask them a question. And they are in a very bad situation too, actually, the politicians, because they're being pushed by the land developers. So they actually need your support. And the very best thing to do is, you're all educators. A sneaky thing to do is have the children write the letters. One letter is equivalent to 30 emails. And if you're bombarding a politician, writing a letter is a very serious thing for a politician. And if I think it is 5% or 3% is a small percentile, if the letters coming in, that is enough to change them out of their position, for they can lose their position in politics, and they do listen up. And children, use publicity, get it out there. You know, our little warrior, our little Scandinavian warrior, Greta Thunberg. I mean, she does it. Follow her, follow what she's doing. And I'm doing some stuff with Jane Fonda too. I was supposed to be doing a website this weekend, but follow us. We're just pounding along. But Greta, she is a little sparkler, that woman. So do what she's doing and send the letters on. Keep doing it. You mightn't get an answer, but keep doing it. You know, the answer I've got from Trudeau, you know, Justin, and I know his mama, is thank you for your interest. It's like somebody hanging on a crucifix and saying, we're sorry that you kind of have a bit of pain here. Like, so you got to keep doing it. You got to keep doing it and have a cup of tea, put your feet up and do it again. That's my answer.
This is a great answer. And just a reminder for all those great questions going to Diana, to Dr. Diana Beresford-Kruger, please use the Q&A box, as we're not really checking the chat box. So make sure you use the Q&A. Okay, so this is great. Thank you so much, Diana. So the next question came to us in French. So I'll read it in French first, and of course, we'll read it in English. So here's the question. Beaucoup de gens pensent que nous ne devrions pas nous inquiéter du changement climatique et de la durabilité, que la science trouvera des solutions. Quels sont vos commentaires à ce sujet? So many people think that we shouldn't worry about climate change and sustainability, and that science will just find the solutions. What are your comments? What's your, your response to this?
Now, right now, science is working fairly hard, but Canada, to the great disgrace of Canada, we have not found a solution to COVID-19. We did have the labs. They were called the Connacht labs. I knew the people who are running the Connacht labs, and they were closed. We are a sovereign nation. We should have our own laboratories. We have brilliant young kids, brilliant young people in molecular biology, and they've had to go down to Houston because I know some of them. Now, Trudeau, Justin Boy, you get money into science for Canada because we're a unique nation. We are a northern nation. We need different things. We have a food security of only 11 days. We run out of a problem. Our farmers run out of a problem. We have 11 days worth of food, starting with just food. Oh, I can go on and on about that. Now, I would love to talk to some of these people about science, because we need to put pockets of money. Young people who are in most of the universities, they come up with a discovery, and I was one of those people. My discovery is artificial blood, and I never got a penny from that. So artificial blood is now used in all the transplants, and it's used in cancer research. Thanks be to God, people's lives are being saved by this. But we need money going into science, and we need money going into the arts, because the art is the breathing facility for science. It is imagination, and we need it. In Quebec is a heck of a lot better than Ontario and other countries. We need that now.
Right. Yes. Thank you. And we have an interesting question from Jane, actually, that came on regarding your talk on mental health issues. Mm-hmm. So here's Jane's question. Will the common willow trees in Saskatchewan have the same effect as the weeping willows on mental health issues?
Yes. Very simple. Can I, Jane, can I talk to you? This is a birth announcement here. This is a nut tree. This is an anti-famine nut tree. It is Carya lacanosia, and this is a lime. So it's a little bit smaller than a lime. It's about the same weight. It is the first time in 250 years that this tree has been growing in Canada, but thanks be to God, I've managed to propagate it. I've only known this for the last few days, and I'm still getting over myself about it. Will you please, Jane, make note, will you please eat 4 or 5 black walnuts and a nut like this per day during the winter months? What you will get into your body is oleic, linoleic, and linolenic acid. They're the 3 essential fatty acids that are not in food. So you go to into the nut section of where you're shopping and eat some nuts. You don't have to get fat, just a few nuts. It's body building, brain building, and major organ building. That also helps with the problem of mental diseases. And God knows, all of us have got problems. You're not the only one with COVID. We're all suffering. It's like a chronic infection we all have. So take it easy. Talk about it to people too. Talk about it to somebody who will listen to you, who will sit down, give you a cup of tea. If you come to my house, I'll give you a cup of tea. We'll sit down and we'll gas bag about it. So we're all suffering, the whole lot of us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And actually, about trees, the next question from Elaine is, how do I get my town to pass a tree bylaw?
Go to the council meetings. Get people to go stand with you at the council meetings. Send them a letter, require an answer, because those councillors have got to answer and have got to answer your letter. Go in, bring people with you. Don't go alone, bring your friends in, and bring a couple of tough looking men with you too if you're a woman. Just go in and have a bit of shoulder power with you so that you look meaner. So that you look meaner for the councillors, because you mean it. You want to have a future for your children and your grandchildren. And even if you don't have children, it doesn't matter. Everybody else's child is my child. I mean, I've adopted everybody's child. Like all of you kids, you're my kids. I'm looking after you. So I'll hold your hand, go in and be tough. And how you toughen up, I don't know, but toughen up. You got to toughen up.
And we thank you for that. Thank you. Question from Joanne. Thank you for giving us information on the properties of certain trees. Is there a tree in particular that is recognized to clear lungs?
Oh, yes, yes. Okay, take down this name. It is Populus balsamifera, Balmsifera candicans, and that is a member of the Saliaceae family. It is a member of the willow family, and that particular, it is called the medicine stick of the Cree Nations. And that particular tree, if you have problems, you go around that tree in March for down south of Toronto, April for around Toronto, and May for around here farther up the continent, and go and forest bathe and breathe. Now you can also get a salve, go into your organic store, and you want a salve of that particular tree. And what you do is you rub it against your nose, and it changes the olfactory ability of your nose, just a tiny little bit. When I was a little girl, there was a thing called Vicks Vapor, and I don't know if people still use it, but that's a menthol thing. But this one is a compound, and it contains prostaglandins and prostacyclins. And that is why the boreal forest is so important, because there are enormous numbers of those trees up there, and it helps the atmosphere in the spring to actually be a cleansing, aseptic atmosphere in the spring, so that it is Populus balsamifera candicans. No other compounds in it, just that.
Fantastic. And I need to remind everyone, because of course, the names of those trees are of so much importance and interest for so many of our viewers, and I can see some of the comments coming. So of course, this session is being recorded. We'll have all the names So people will be able to go back on the names of those trees and of course do their research. So thank you for that very much, Diana.
And can I just interrupt you one
Yes.
other second? When there is a flood of this populous material from the north, the boreal north, it acts as a Drano for your circulatory system. I mean, this is part of my expertise in my medical biochemistry. It opens up and strengthens the intima, that's the inside portion of your arteries and your venous situation for men and for women. And for men, you have to put your fingers in your ears, the women now listening to this, it improves a male's member function in bed. So some women may be horrified by this, some men may be delighted by this. If you're delighted, take it as it comes. It is actually used for that. So friskiness would be one word I would use. So that's enough said about that.
Well, thank you. I mean, the power of the trees is endless. So this is great. We have the next question is from Judy, and here's her question and comment. I am involved in a group trying to save a small forest from developers in an important watershed. Can you suggest some good contacts or networks to tap into for information and support?
Yeah, I've just done that. And look up on the internet a woman called Pat Jefflin. I'll spell the name P-A-T, Jeflynn. She and I, when I was down there in Windsor, we saved a 5-acre Ojibwe piece of land for the children. It was a forest school and the developers wanted it and we got rid of them. And there's another one up here outside of Ottawa. Again, I'm afraid I'm guilty about this one too. And it is outside of, not Manotick, but it's outside of Ottawa. And just, oh God, the word comes, I can never remember the name. It's just outside of the city and it's where all of the IT sections happen in, all the IT industry is in this area. Kanata, yeah, Kanata. Chuck just remembered as good, Kanata. And what I did is I shamed the big man in Kanata. He's a Welshman and I shamed him to pay, he paid for everything and nothing to do with me. He paid for everything and we won it. We won it. We won it in the law courts. That teller is precedent making. Precedent in law is something that's very interesting. Then there's another woman out on the West Coast. She's in America, but she's doing reworking some laws. And her name is Dr. Christina Wood. She's head of law at University of Oregon. So there's all kinds of people around. Just go sniffing around. They're there. I've done it. You can use my pattern language. And you don't listen to no. No doesn't work in this world. Yes, the word is yes, you save the place.
That is fantastic. Okay, thank you. For the next question, actually, Diana, I am going to call the chair of the board, Rich Prophet, and our CEO, Jim Grieve, as it's a question related to RTO-ERO. But before that, I want to say to our wonderful participants that our amazing team behind the scene or behind the screen has actually, a team member has actually put in the chat box the name of that tree that is, fairly long. So we're trying to provide information to people as we go along. So to Rich and Jim, here's the question that came. What is RTO-ERO doing to help protect the environment?
Thanks, Muriel. One of the first things that we did is we developed this resource book called Environmental Stewardship. This book is one of the resources along with white papers which go out to all the districts which indicate what they actually can be doing in the municipal areas of their communities that they can do is because not only individuals, but companies and industrial groups, governments all have a part to play in environmental stewardship. It's not just individuals and the issues which would include, as we know, the banning on single-use plastics, the common recycling principles, sustainable transportation, you're asking them to safeguard water supply and drinking water. Also, at the provincial level, here in Ontario, we definitely have approached MPPs to oppose the Conservation Authority Act, which was Bill 229, which basically states that the municipal appointed members of the Conservation Authority have to act in the best interests of the municipality. It's not in the best interest of the Conservation Authority. So it's the money maker for the municipalities. That's one group that we've opposed at this level. Another group that we've approached very strongly is the Ontario Teachers Pension Plan, and where they have come up with a guideline, responsible investment guidelines, over a 10-year period, a 15-year period, as to how they're going to cut back their investments, what they intend to address. And right at the forefront is ESG for them, the environment being number one. That's what some of the things that we've done at RTO ERO. Jim?
Thanks. Thank you very much, Rich. Very thorough and comprehensive action on the environment, and it's a big deal, which is one of the reasons we've invited our guests to be a significant part of getting this word out. I would say that I sort of lean on, we've been arguing for the environment on behalf of the environment for my entire career. I remember the theme when I was taking kids to students with me to the conservation authorities and spending overnights in the forests camping. It was think globally, but act locally. And what I'm hearing from our speaker today isn't so much get out and walk around your white pine if you happen to have one. I've got one and I'll go do that later. But it is, what are the actions you can actively take as an RTO ERO member, a member of the community, on your own yard, in your own property, in your own community, that will make that difference? It's the cumulative difference that that Diana is arguing for today, and that's what we argue for. So one of the things that just bothers me no end, and there's many of them relative to the environment, is for decades we have had boil water orders on many of the Aboriginal reserves, which is unconscionable. When you know that our military can fly a DART system anywhere in the world within 24 hours and have potable water ready to go, why are we allowing this to go on? And I'm back with you, Diana, that there's a lot of words coming out of places like Queen's Park or BC or the federal government, but it's a lot of hot air when it comes to that elixir of life, that water. So we're pushing those issues.
Can I suggest one thing for this? Because that's very important to me, clean water for the Aboriginal people. Procter & Gamble is full of engineers, okay? They like to give some help into the community. My great idea is to get Procter & Gamble to offer their engineers, let's say from Belleville, all their engineers, send the boys up to the areas where the wells need to be drilled, get the wells in, and then teach the Aboriginal people how to look after it. You do that for next to being free. So it is something Procter & Gamble could do to say thank you for the community for buying my product. That's a cheap way to do it. Anyway, sorry for interrupting you.
Well, I'm back with you though. I'm saying the money is not the issue. It's the will, and it's the will and the action that are missing. I know our members are, you can see by the questions you're getting, our members are 100% ready to act, and a lot of them have been acting for 40 years, their whole career. The question is, can we mobilize more people to act, more politicians to act?
Shame them.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rich, and thank you, Jim, for being with us on that one. Thank you, Diana. So the next question actually then will be very much of interest to you, I know, Diana. A question from Jerry. And the question is, Beyond your deep understanding of the science of forests, you seem to have a profound connection to the spiritual aspects of the forest, which many people have lost. Where do we begin to reestablish our spiritual connection to and reverence for trees?
Well, first of all, I can say, I can honestly ask you to do something. The first language of Europe was called the Ogham script. And it is, I'm pushing this, I because I've written the blinking thing, so you may as well read it. It is the Ogham script, and it is based on trees. The back of the book is based on trees. There was a greater protection for forests, but it was a spiritual protection. And in India, it's the same thing. And in Northern Korea, believe it or not, it's the same thing. The man wants up. The same thing with the Shinto people in Japan. The same thing in many parts of China. It is just because we have been in pursuit of the holy dollar. I call it the Church of the Holy Dollar. And we have ignored nature. We have done it to our peril. And I think you go into, let me talk to this one. You go into a forest. You walk into a forest and you open your heart to a forest. You just walk in. That's all. You just walk in and you breathe the air. You're breathing pinene. In any case, you're breathing alpha, beta. Pinene is one aspect. All the salicylic compounds, the 22 salicylins in you're breathing all kinds of compounds in there. You're opening up your system to that. You will never ever be the same again. It is fine-tuning your IQ. It is fine-tuning the IQ of a child to go into a forest. That is the cathedral of nature. It is the greatest wisdom of nature you have there. It is not a forest. It is actually a library of cipher, which is similar in DNA to yours. And you come out and you remember that, and you try to remember that and respect all of the things around you. And in respecting things, if you respect what is in there, then you respect yourself. If you respect yourself, you have been in silence. In Gaelic word, it's called oncunas. Silence is a holiday for the mind. It is a holiday to expand the imagination, and you come out with an expanded imagination. And let me go back to Einstein. Einstein said in all of science, the greatest gift that any scientist has is the ability to have imagination. And all great scientists, and including all those Nobel people, because it won't be me, because I'm not attached to a university now, they're Nobel people are pretty well all good artists. They're good on musical instruments. They're good in all kinds of art. It expands. We need to imagine what black matter is. We need to imagine what black holes are. We need to imagine those things because we don't know them. So, yeah, I better shut up now. So thank you for that question.
Yeah, no, this is great, Diana. And actually, we have a question, I would say multiple questions, so I'll kind of we'll put them together from Margaret and from Jerry and others about the lumbering companies cutting the trees. So to summarize those comments, can we discuss the lumber industry? Like, what should be their approach in harvesting and planting trees? Because there's always the discussion about mature trees versus small trees.
Yeah, I'd like to address that, and I'd need a very long time to address that one. What we have put in all around the world, we're talking not just Canada, all over the world, plantation forests. And in Europe right now, the plantation forests are coming down. They're rotting down because there's huge insect invasions in Europe and in the Middle East and in other parts of the world on these plantation forests. They're actually dying right now. It's a huge problem in Europe. You look after your native forests, native to native, and you look after those. You have to have within the forest biodiversity. You have to have that. when Helmut Kohl was being flown across this country, this is a sneaky thing that happened. He loved forests, and they found that they were going to fly over clear-cut areas. And my God, they thought, what is he going to think of Canadians? So his journey took about twice the distance it should have taken, all around the areas where they've clear cut, so as to show how great Canada is with our forests. Well, we're not, sorry. We do need wood. We do need forests. Absolutely, we do. We do need them, but we can't plant them as plantation forests. We take the trees out sustainably, without pesticides, without fungicides, take them out sustainably, because the forestry logger people need to have sustainability for their own careers and for their own lives. It's like going into the ocean and taking all the fish out and wondering, why don't I have a fish on my plate today? It's because you need to use your brains, not the greed factor, not the Church of the Holy Dollar. They need to exist too. The logging companies need to exist, but use your brains. You know that you need hardwoods, softwoods, greenwoods. You need all of those. And the whole aspect of a forest has never actually been described. The Great Forest up in Pimachuanaki is the only forest standing, and one in Prince Edward Island, a small one, that I know where the pattern language of the forest has been written down. We do not have that even research done. So, you can't blame the foresters. They want the wood. We ourselves are living with wood. Use your brain and recycle.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So we are, I mean, the time is going by way too fast, but of course on this very important topic. So we're down to our last few questions. So the next one is actually, Dr. Beresford Kruger, what do you think about medicines made synthetically? Are they as effective as natural sources?
Oh yeah, we've got fabulous organic chemists. Actually, in my opinion, the best organic chemists in the world are in Japan. They're brilliant people in Japan, believe it or not. And the Czech and then the Italians are fantastic too. We have very good organic chemists here. And some of them, like the taxodione compounds, are functional in a four-dimensional structure. So your key points is in 4 dimensions, and that's very difficult to imagine. So some of those compounds have got to be extracted from trees, and they are being extracted actually from trees, and then they're used in the lab. There's a compound in that grows on oak trees only, and it's a mistletoe, Viscum album. Viscum album I have used myself in surgery, in open heart surgery. It actually widens the left descending coronary artery, widens it out so you have a better flood of blood going in, hemodynamics, blood flow into the heart. So there are all kinds of, we need the biodiversity of forests. We need the biodiversity, first of all, to handle all of the different cancers. And some of the answers within forests take 100 years to develop because they develop through endogenous fungi. These are fungi that live in the center of the tree next to the xylem and the phloem, and they're the things that have warfare with the tree, but they're the ones who produce compounds that still many, many organic chemists cannot manufacture. So we need it all. We need everything at our disposal for handling medicines, especially at this time of climate change, because all of us, you, me, all of us have a weaker immune system, have a weaker T-cell ratio because of the quality of food we're eating. We're eating crap. We're not eating organic food. We're not eating clean food. And even the air is not clean. The particulate pollution in this past year has increased 100%. that means all of the flowers of the trees have been covered with a pollution which has hitchhiking material on it. So our immune systems are infected and we are more open to cancers. So we need that biodiversity. We need science, and we need competent, good scientists sitting at the table working their bums off. That's what we need.
That is what we need. And actually that leads perfectly to the next question. It's actually two questions from Karen and Rita, which I will kind of put together. But is there to your knowledge, a non-profit organization in Canada leading the way in terms of planting or protecting trees, or maybe even a collective project here in Ontario or in another province that would protect, a healthy forest?
Right now, look at Fairy Grove, Fairy Creek out on Vancouver Island. A whole pile of our young kids are out there protecting those ancient forests. In my name, monies have been funneled from an anonymous donor for the law aspect of that. The kids, there's 1,000 kids, there's a pile of kids out there trying to protect. It's the last ancient forest left in the world with answers to HIV. And the lumber companies want to take them down for toilet paper. Just think about that. So first off, that's what I'm busy doing right now. When they need press releases, I write the press releases, and there's only me, How about kind of cloning me? I need a couple of more clones. And actually I have a clone. I do need to thank Chuck, who and the house I'm in right now, because I live in a forest, and so the village here is, I'm a child of the village now, an older child, let's put it that way, of the village, and lots of people are helping me. And thank you, Chuck. Thank you, the people here in the village, for standing at my back. That's what we need. That is exactly what we need.
Actually, we're okay for mini Dianas. I'm just telling you that right now. We're okay to clone you. Okay, so the last question that we have is actually on our two favorite topics, children and forest. So here's the question from Joan for your last question, Diana. Are forestry schools currently teaching the principles that you are espousing?
Oh yeah, they're trying to. Yeah, they're trying to. Actually, when I was down on the East Coast, some little kids, they're all 5-year-olds, and they were going to a forest school. They were in a forest school. They invited me into their forest school for lunch. Oh my God, bless us and save us. So the kids themselves made bannocks for me, and they were a bunch of little ruffians. They were wonderful. They were wonderful. They made the bannocks themselves, entirely themselves, and they served the bannocks to me. And yeah, they knew what they were doing. And what their teacher told me is not one of them had been sick all winter. God, they were just absolutely fantastic. And I was really impressed by their intelligence. They were smart kids, and they were prepared. They had the gutso, to go out and to do all the things they wanted to do. So yeah. And the forest, there's a forest school that, God bless us, that's just been put up here in Ottawa, and they came to me for stuff. So yeah, it's a go-go situation for the kids. Now, let me say one more thing. For the film that I made, Call of the Forest, it's in DVD and it's in Blu-ray, and I don't have the ownership of that. The ownership of that is held out in Winnipeg. I wanted it to come from Canada. I wanted the voice to come out of Canada. I did not want any American voice or any other voice. This is a Canadian film. But adjunct to that was something that took me a year. I did an app for that film, which geo-positioned all forests, all tree planting for all the zones all across North America. So look up the app. It's calloftheforest.ca. That is the app. It took me a year to do. And actually I put it on a long piece of wallpaper, and I wrote it all in line on the wallpaper and sent it out to Winnipeg. And the kids out there who've all got PhDs in IT and God knows what, they were delighted with it. I thought they'd send it back to me. That is a part of the Call of the Forest. So there are children in there. There is lots of information in all the different websites that have been set up, and the teachers can pick things up. One of the books that's very important for here right now is called Arboretum America, A Philosophy of the Forest. And that one is being most used in all of the universities in the States. And that one is the basic fundamental foundations of the medicines of the forest, the thinking about the forest. And so get it out of the library. I mean, you don't have to buy the book, get it out of the library, look up what you need. And I think it's a very good resource, and so is Arboretum Borealis, really, really good resources for everybody. I did, actually, David, my darling Suzuki, I did write the books. They're all out there, and they're there for you to use and for your pleasure to use for the schools. But one thing I have noticed that I couldn't get the Call of the Forest into schools. Maybe someone of you can manage to do that, because the schools need to see that film. I mean, if it's good enough to be translated all across the world, why can't we do it in Canada? So all of you now, there you got a job, you got homework to do.
Fantastic. I will now call on Jim for the final remarks. Thank you. Yes,
just one more tiny thing.
of course.
And not a tiny thing. There's a book of poetry by Leslie Strutt called Heartwood. And it has a fantastic book of poems. It is the first book representing all of Canada in poetry. Get that into the schoolroom, get the kids to read a poem every day. Read a poem every day. Do what I do. First thing I do in the morning, I read a poem, my husband and my husband is very good at languages and does translations. That's my gift to me in the morning. Give the gift to the children of this book of poetry called Heartwood. Thank you.
Wow, amazing. I will take it from there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Muriel. Thank you. You did a great job, Muriel, in handling all these great questions and comments, actually. Diana, I sincerely have to thank you for this energetic and passionate presentation of forests and climate and the need for action. You really have pushed a great deal. It's funny, while you were speaking and giving these references to the sweetness of the simple life and to speak for the forest, I was looking very quickly on the Toronto Public Library to see where in line I might be. And I'm 9 weeks away from sweetness, and I'm 11 weeks away from the Speak for the Forest. So I'll probably buy it instead.
Go buy it. Go buy it.
I really appreciate you doing that. And just a quick observation as well, sort of on the theme of that Muriel pointed out, and that is on these forest schools. My first exploration of a forest school was in Norway, just outside Oslo. And it was maybe 10 days before Christmas. So it was the deep of winter and the snow was about 3 or 4 feet deep. This was a year-round forest school, 365, and the parents had the kids there. They dropped them off every day. Again, no sickness, total energy, wonderful creativity. And it's something we brought back, because I was working with the early years at that time, we brought back to this country, and I hope to see many, many more of them, because what did you call it? This whole notion of having an opportunity to bathe in the forest and to take in just the great feelings that you come out with from the forest is so fabulous. And it's why so many schools now have what they call outdoor classrooms. So speaking on behalf of the environment, and thanking you so much, Diana, for really giving us an opportunity to dig into this particular subject. And, you know, we've got 82,000 highly motivated voters and advocates who are picking up these ideas strongly from you. Listen, for our listeners and watchers, the recording of this video will be posted on our website, and it will be emailed to every participant. We'll send one to you, Diana, so you can see how well you did. You can also access recordings of our other Vibrant Voices webinars in vibrantvoices.ca. That's where you go. And feel free to share the website, send them far and wide, and make sure these messages get out. Charles, can you put up the last slide? We are in the midst of yet another season of Vibrant Voices, and the last for 2021 is coming up, as you can see, on November the 3rd. And that one will feature Isabel McKenzie, who is the amazing seniors advocate for British Columbia. We want a seniors advocate here. Well, we want it in every province, honestly. And then Dr. Carrie Lee Cassidy, she's a professor of geriatric psychiatry at Dalhousie University in Nova Scotia. And they're going to present, as you can see, paths to wellness for older persons, body, mind, and spirit. I feel like we've already started that today, actually. So for more information on that and registration, again, go to vibrantvoices.ca, look at that. And I really do wish all of you, thank you, a great deal of thanks for joining us today, taking these messages to heart, reading these books, advocating for this film. And Diana, from RTO, ERO, a debt of thanks so much for being part of this. Take care.